Hello, my name is Scuria-Herman, and today I will be speaking on the topic of pretentiousness. Now, as always, I don't think this will be that long, but I'm usually wrong. In reference to pretentiousness, the reason why I want to bring this up is there's not really an event that triggered this. There might have been when I initially wrote it down, but in general, right now, currently, there's no event that triggered this. I just notice it a lot. Because a lot of people experience pretentiousness, and a lot of people experience pretentiousness differently. Pretentiousness takes many forms, and it can very easily be disguised, especially in someone who is not traditionally pretentious. The way I would define pretentiousness is generally holding yourself in a higher opinion than is necessarily deserved, I guess. That's the way I'm going to be operating for pretentiousness for this video. Just because I'm sure you can think of at least prototypical pretentiousness, but it shows up in a lot of ways, especially characterized by a certain stubbornness and unwillingness to change. I was thinking of making this video on the topic of change instead, but I think that that's too different of a topic. But I think pretentiousness, it's obviously not the most extreme issue in the world, but it is something that comes up a lot. I think, also, just because I just recently made on the topic of generalizations, and in that video, I cover extensively all that stuff. It's doing well right now. I'll put a card. The whole thing with generalizations is they're going to come up anyway. And I try to explain that in the video, but I don't think I wasn't clear enough based on the comments. But pretentiousness will show up anywhere because it's a natural thing. People have, subconscious biases and all that stuff. They will always, not necessarily always, again, generalization, they will usually hold themselves in a higher opinion referential to others. That's just natural. That's just a thing that happens. And it's not really something you can hold against someone every single time. If it becomes a pattern, then that's an issue. Because at a certain point, the locus of change lies on the person, and you can't really expect it to be an external factor, so to speak. I have an interesting relationship with pretentiousness. Obviously, everyone probably experiences pretentiousness, either to them or from within them. I don't know if I necessarily experience it from within that much. Of course, I probably do, and there's been many instances when I've been told that I do. And I think that is worth noting, even if I don't necessarily believe that I was or am. I think that it's worth noting that that's the impact that I'm having. I don't know if I would consider myself pretentious, mostly because I have an interesting relationship with shame. I used to have a great deal of shame, and it used to define a lot of the choices I made in life. Then something happened some time ago, a couple of years ago I think now, that really took away any shame that I had left. And a lot of the things that I was conscious of or really just over conscious of, all that really went away because of something that I went through. I talk about this more in length on the topic of toenails, which I understand why people didn't want to watch. It's a weird video, but I don't know. I think that everyone will obviously experience pretentiousness. Almost everyone will be pretentious at some point, and I'm pretty sure that I've been pretentious. I just don't know if that's something that I do anymore. Not to say that I'm immune to it, I'm just saying that it's not something that I generally experience any longer, just because of what I've lived through. I know this is very ambiguous and I'm not going to go into detail, which is detrimental to the point I'm trying to make, but pretentiousness as a whole will always come up. It'll always just be a thing, just like generalizations, and it's not a bad thing by itself, isolated in a vacuum, but when paired with behavior that supports it, reinforces it, makes it into a pattern, that's when it becomes bad, really bad. I don't know if I made much of a point in this video. I don't know if I was really trying to. I just wanted to talk about pretentiousness a little because I've been thinking about it lately. I guess there are a few things I didn't bring up. I think pretentiousness, the way I find it in a lot of people, the form it takes that I observe the most, is people who are so steadfast in their beliefs that they refuse to hear any opposing perspective. I view that as a form of pretentiousness because they are just so unwilling to hear others out and believe themselves to be so right that they could not even comprehend the concept of being wrong. And as some of you may know, I love being wrong. I think that being wrong is a great boon. Which is funny because a lot of the, I'm not going to push the label of pretentious on them just because I don't know what's going on inside their heads, but people I believe are pretentious usually will come up to me and say that I hate being wrong. Which is interesting that they would tell me how I feel about an abstract concept and why they think that's necessary for me to know how they think I feel. But yeah, I've been very consistent in this fact that I like being wrong. If I didn't like being wrong, I don't think I'd make the videos that I make because I'm wrong in a lot of them. Just like I was wrong in generalizations, because I didn't really demonstrate the point in the best way that I could have. But yeah, that's the form that I see pretentiousness take most often. What form do you see pretentiousness take? I honestly didn't really get political with this. I did get a little bit political with generalizations at the end, the tail end of it. And I kind of wanted to look at this as more of an abstract concept instead of a social issue. But if that's how you look at pretentiousness, let me know down below in the comment section. I've said all I can think of. So that's going to be all from me. So until next time, adieu.